Good day, folks. Welcome to the MB Wildman channel. On today's video, I want to talk about snaring real quick, and I'm going to show you how to make a Seneca snare setup the way that I make them for this season. Now, I know a lot of you in the past maybe have seen some videos of mine about where I make a real simple snare. This is basically what I call my basic farm snare, right? So, piece of cake, real quick, easy, simple to do. And these work, don't get me wrong, they work. But after a lot of research and a couple of coyotes twisting out of these snares last season and me losing them, I did some looking, I did some talking to some buddies of mine, and I've decided this season to go with a Seneca snare type setup with a kill spring and swivel and the whole deal. It's much more expensive to build each snare. I say much more, I mean it's not like it's going to break the bank, but they are more expensive to make than the simple farm snares that I make. But at the end of the day, when you do all the math out, if I lose one coyote in the course of a season, by using a snare that, you know, if I could have got him in another snare, but he twisted out of a regular snare, if I lose one coyote, then that will pay for all of the difference in all of the setup and everything that I do. So anyway, just a real quick video here on making the Seneca snare setup the way that I do. So my Seneca setup that I use is a little different than some, and I'll show you kind of what I've got going on here and the reasons why I like it. So first of all, where most people use a single furrow, I always use a double. This just adds for just that extra added security that you're not going to get a pullout. I especially like to do that on the side that is on the swivel. Okay. One of the great reasons, or one great reason why I love this snare setup now, this way, is a couple of things. First off, it's the breakaway. Okay, so adding a breakaway to your snare. Some states and provinces you have to have a breakaway. Some is cable restraint only and they can't be used as kills. Again, make sure you check your local laws and regulations before you make any of these and put them out in the field. But for us here in New Brunswick, we're not regulated as far as snaring goes, except for size of wire and things like that. We are not required to have a breakaway on our snare. But as a responsible trapper out there and an ethical hunter, I don't want to end up with deer, bear, moose, whatever, caught in my snares, okay, and injuring them or catching them or whatever. So having that breakaway, that 285, what are they, 285? Yeah, 285 pound breakaway. You know, if I do snag a deer in one of these, it's going to be able to pull hard enough that this snare will come apart, and then that will be free. The other thing is the kill spring. So adding a 100-pound kill spring just dispatches that animal that much faster. So the more humane, I mean, I know trappers get a lot of grief anyway, right? About, you know, we just kill for the fun of killing and kill for, you know, money in the fur and all that. So obviously those people don't sell much fur because there's not a whole lot of money in it. But this is a lifestyle for us. It's something that we do. It's a way of life. But adding that kill spring just allows the animal to dispatch faster, so it's more humane. Also, the least amount of time that animal spends struggling in the snare, the less chance you have of a pullout or a breakout. Okay, so the Seneca setup is great because it adds a kill spring, it adds the breakaway. I also add a swivel, which is optional. Some people just do a loop, and that's fine. But the swivel allows, again, that animal to twist, and hopefully it'll twist the swivel and not tangle up the snare. The other thing that I have begun doing this year is adding a 5-foot extension cable. Let's see if I can pull these all off the shelf. Oh yeah, sure I can. Yeah. Seriously. You'd think you could pull one of those off that shelf, wouldn't you? So I add a 5-foot or 6-foot. I just basically grab some wire and string it out like that, and then it is what it is. Right, so I add a 5 or 6 foot extension cable, which allows for tangle. So I've done a couple of videos on the channel about why it's important to tangle your animals up and to leave them enough wire or enough distance after they get caught in the snare to get themselves wrapped around something and to tangle. If they can pull directly on the snare and continue to pull directly on the snare, you might get a pullout, you might get a chew out or breakout or whatever you want to call it. But if they can if they've got some lead and they can tangle up around some stuff and they get all sort of twisted up, they will dispatch quickly and they will almost never break out of a snare. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm just gonna I'm a teacher, right? So I'll go step by step for you. I'll show you each step of the process, and we'll walk you through how to build one of these Seneca snares. To start out, Elliot and I are out here, and we've got 45 inches of snare cable, and you can use whatever size you want. I use a 1/19. I know a lot of recommendation is to use 60 inches of cable, but I found that for what we do and the size of snares we like to build, 45 inches is a great way to start. Okay. Next, you've got a swivel. Okay, so again, this swivel is optional for you to build. If you just want to build a loop in the end of your snare to attach to your extension cable, you can, but we like to use one of these swivels. Next up, you've got your 100-pound kill spring. Okay. You've got your micro lock. Okay, so this is a cam lock that we like to use. You can use, typically Seneca setups have these locks, okay? These cam locks, and again, you can use the micros, you can use the regular size, whatever you want. You've got your 285-pound breakaway, okay, that we'll use. You are going to need, if you build it my way, you'll need 4 of these aluminum furrows. Some people just use 2, but I like to use 4. You need a support collar of some kind. Again, this is a metal one. Some people use the plastic kind, but this one's the one that we like to use. It's metal, kind of like a little spring. We've got, oh, so this is a double furrow if you're going to make the loop on the end, but we're going to use the swivel, so we're not going to use that. Chuck that to the side. Bonk. I'm not going to use that one. And you'll need 2 aluminum washers to make this happen. Okay, so that's all the stuff that we need, and Elliot and I did all the math here on our fancy piece of paper before we came out, and what we figured is that to build one of these snares, it's basically $2.90. So for $2.90, you're building one of your Seneca snare setups, and that includes everything. So basically $3 if you throw the washer in instead of the double furrow. So you got $3 tied up in the snare before you're done. All right, here we go, step by step, how to build one of these. Okay, so starting off, you will need a couple of tools too, right? So you're going to need a hammer if you do this my way, or a fancy pair of like crimpers or pinchers. Swager, I guess, would work too, but I just use an anvil and a hammer simply, okay? To start out with, what you'll need to do is grab your lock and grab your breakaway, okay? So you got your breakaway and your lock, and what you want to do is slide the open end of your breakaway through your lock like that, and then pinch it shut. Okay, and you want to make sure that when you pinch it shut, you pinch it all the way shut. Like, I mean, it's got to be closed, closed, closed. You can actually even over pinch it a little bit if you want to, just like that, because you want to make sure that that's completely closed all the way. Okay, that's closed right up. That's what you're going to start with. All right. Next, we'll grab our wire. So I've got 45 inches of wire here, and we're going to take 2, Elliot, grab 2 of the aluminum stops. Grab 2 of those. Yep, okay. So what we'll do is we'll put 2 stops on the end, just like that. Yeah, and then we'll just hammer those down. Now, be careful that you don't over hammer these. Okay, now I know it's a, you know, if you have a fancy bench swager and you got a couple $100 to spend, you can get one of those and they crimp exactly the right way each time. But what you want to do is you want to smash these down until the wire is pinched, but it's not actually flattened, so you don't want to flatten the wire. You just want to close down the aluminum stop.
Just
okay?
So they can't come off.
Just so they don't come off, right, good. So you got that there. Now you take your swivel. Okay. Actually, no, sorry. Now you take a washer. Okay, so you put a washer on next. Okay, slide the washer all the way to the end. Now we slide the swivel. We slide the swivel on our wire. Okay, all the way back. Pull that all the way through, Elliot. All right. So when you begin, you're basically building the back part of the snare first. So you've got the swivel, right here. You've got the 2 furrows and the washer, just like that. Okay, so that's the back part of the snare, and that allows that to turn. The washer makes it not pull through, and the furrows make it so the wire won't pull out. Okay, so there's the back of the snare.
So what's next?
All right, so next thing is we've got the swivel made like this. We need the support collar. Okay, Elliot, so that black little spring looking thing right there, yeah. Slide the support collar on, and you're gonna put it
like
on.
That or like that?
Yeah, like that, with the big end first.
Down.
Yeah. Okay, so support collar goes on your snare and ends up looking like this, okay? And for those of you that know about support collars, you're going to take a separate wire when you set your snare, and it's going to slide into that support collar, and it will hold the snare where you want it to be, because this is all like the extension cable and everything is all flimsy. It's not stiff. So when you do this, you need an extra support. So something will go in there to hold your snare onto the trail where you want it to go. Okay. Next, you're going to use the lock. Okay, so let's see the lock on top of the vise right there. Yeah, on top of the hammery downery thing. Okay. When you put your lock on, you want to put it on so that the little teeth, okay, I'm going to put it so the flat side's down and the teeth are pointed up. You slide it onto your lock like that. Okay. Right, so you've got your lock on like this. Let me see if I can show that to you. So the teeth are like this, right? So the way to test if you've got this on the right way is that if you try to pull it toward the back, like try to pull it toward the swivel that you just put on, grab it and by the lock. If you can't pull it, if the teeth bite, you've got it the right way. So it should slide freely if you keep it like this. But if you try to pull it to the back, it will lock. That's the way you know you have it on right. Then you're going to take your wire and just bend it a tiny bit and push it through the loop like that. So you've got it through your lock and then through the other loop of the breakaway. Okay? And then we're just going to slide that down. We're just going to slide that down, he says. Just going to slide that down. There we go. Okay? So you got that on. Now we need the 100-pound spring, and that's pretty simple. You just slide the spring on. Doesn't really matter if it's like up or down or whatever. You just want to slide the spring on like that. Okay. Now we need a washer. Good job. Slide a washer right on the end of that. Good work. Okay. And now we're going to hammer another 2 furrows, 2 stops on the end. 1, 2. Get it?
No, not 2.
There you go, 1 and 2. And when you do this, just leave a little bit of wire, about like maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or whatever sticking out. You don't want it to be closed right up. Okay. Good. Okay, so 2 stops. It doesn't matter if they're right close together or whatever, but okay. So you're thinking, well, you're all done now, but where's your snare? You don't have much, okay? You've just got a big wire with a bunch of stuff on it. Well, your snare is actually right here. So right between the lock part here, the teeth of the lock, and the breakaway, this part right here is actually your snare. So what all you need to do now is give it a little bend like that and pull this, and ta-da, you've just created your snare. Okay, so there you go. Once you pull that loop through, this is what you have, right? You've got your swivel, your support collar, you've got your lock, your spring, your whole deal. And then Elliot, just put your, okay, and then boom, there you go. Okay, so you've just built your snare. Pretty quick, pretty easy, pretty simple. And this snare is fast, it's effective, and it's deadly. One of the great things I like about it is the weight of the kill spring and the breakaway and all that. It allows it to literally, it's almost like it's loaded. It actually fires itself. It slides right down the wire really quickly, just as soon as you touch the bottom end. So that's one of the big benefits of this setup. Now, it is bulky. I know you can, like, this looks like a big lot of stuff out there in the woods, but if you camo this upright and just with a little bit of grass or a little bit of whatever around this top part, keep in mind that your collar is going to be here, your extension wire is going to be over that way, and then you've got this set up right here, and just as soon as something touches the bottom, right, just as soon as it touches it, that fires right down their neck, okay, and they're caught, okay. Anyway, that's it. Just a quick and easy build for the Seneca snare, the way that Elliot and I like to do it now. This is our new setup from now on. We've got the gear here on this table, right? We're going to make 100 of these babies up and get them out on the line just as fast as we can. Snaring season starts in 2 days here in New Brunswick, so we're going to get these out in the woods, and we're going to take a pile of coyotes, hopefully, and maybe some fox, whatever. But we're going to target coyotes mainly. And we're going to use this setup right here with our new Seneca snare, kill springs, breakaways, and swivels, as well as extension cables. So anyway, look, I hope this is something that can help you out in your line, and maybe you can use this setup, and hopefully you like it. If you do use this setup and you like it, go ahead and leave us a comment down below and let us know if this is something that you use or something that you might use out in your line. So until next time,
Happy hunting
from the MB Wildman channel.